It is a quarter of the way through September already, and I haven't done my reading wrap up or my TBR video. If you're new here, my name is Mary. I like books, I read books, I'm writing a book. There's a lot of books around me, but I also do other things. My boyfriend got me flowers because I was sick. I have like given them a whole nother, like, literally look at that. They're growing. They're growing. Obsessed with flowers, but I'm not like good at taking care of them. That has nothing to do with this video. We're also going to ignore the laundry and chaos happening in my room right now. Let's go ahead and get started on the wrap-up part. Unfortunately, I have been stuck, I think, in like a reading slump, to be honest. I was doing really good at the beginning of the month, and then once I got my 5-star read, I kind of fell off a little bit, and I'm in the middle of like 3 books right now, so I'm gonna choose like a smaller TBR, I think, too, because I've just been kind of slumpy, and we're also going to pick them based on my mood. Let's start on my August wrap-up. I read 3 books in the month of August. All 3 of them were fantasy books, so maybe that's why I've been so slumpy, but I have been like, I feel like the last 3 months, honestly in summer as well, I just was really into fantasy. Whether or not I was reading fantasy at the time, I don't know, but I think I need to stop ignoring my cravings for like reading specific books, because I know in like June or July I was craving a mystery book and I just never read one, so maybe this is contributing to the slumpiness. But first book that I read was Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This one I finished pretty early on in September, solely because I had been reading it for so long. I think in July I was reading it, and maybe even June, maybe not. I annotated this copy. I'm obsessed with the Lunar Chronicles. I rated Cinder a 5 out of 5 stars, so that was really, really cool. This one I rated a 3.5. So this is following the same timeline as kind of the end of Cinder, so we just jump right into that ending and like continue the story, which I love. So we're following a different character though. Her name is Scarlet. She's kind of dealing with the loss of I don't know, she's had a tough life, so she's kind of figuring that out. Her grandmother recently just like disappeared and went missing, so we're not really sure what's going on with that, and the whole premise of the book is that we're following Scarlet on this adventure to find her grandmother. It's based off of the Big Bad Wolf story, like fairy tale. That one was based off of Cinderella, so the adaptation was super cool. Then we meet Wolf, who is our male main character, and he kind of just has been around for a little bit and was kind of around the same time that Scarlet's grandmother went missing, so Scarlet's kind of plugging 2 and 2 together and trying to figure out, hey, this is really weird, I'm gonna see if he can help. And then they go on a little adventure, except it's crazy and lots of stuff happen and it's chaotic. Obviously Scarlet and Wolf are the 2 like main, they're gonna be the love interest in this, and I'm gonna be so for real, it was so hard to root for them in this. Personally, they were like insta-lovey from the get-go. I mean, the book was super slow, so much slower than Cinder was. Probably like this much of the book took place in the exact like same day, which really threw me for one, because there was so much that was going on, but then at the same time it just kind of felt boring, so I'm not really sure what that was about. And then they were just like, they liked each other and had feelings after the first day, and I was just kind of like, I mean, Scarlet does have some Riz though, so if you want a little bit of Riz, Scarlet is pretty good at that. And there were some scenes in here that I did actually really like. There were some parts that I don't like. It was almost diving into that like wolf, like not werewolf, but like wolf alpha wolfy romances, and I wasn't down with that. I don't think I'm a wolfy romance person, all right? It was really weird. Not my cup of tea. So I did rate it a 3.5. I think the novella, honestly, in the end, really, or like short story in the end of the book, was phenomenal. I think I probably gained like a full star just based off of that short story in the back. Do I think it contributed to the plot and the story? Yes, it was interesting to connect some different things together and learn more about Cinder. We're also following her and I believe his name is Thorn. We're following Thorn, who we get introduced to. So Thorn and Cinder are kind of going on their own adventure at the same time. So I was definitely more invested in their plot, and I really liked Thorn as a character. Honestly, Scarlet was just dumb at times, and so was like Wolf. His persona was definitely interesting. I never have seen a character kind of built like him, so it was definitely interesting. I mean, I don't know. If you read this, give me your thoughts on it, because I'm curious to know what everyone else thought. Then I read Tale of Sorcery by Chris Colfer. If you watched my last video, I read this in my attempt to find a 5-star read. And this was probably one of my most highly anticipated books, if not like second most. On my TBR, I was gonna finish up this series, and this completes the Land of Stories, like kind of whole worldly series. So if you don't know, you have a Tale of Magic series, which is 3 books, and then I think 6 books for the Land of Stories, and they all are interconnected and love it. These 3 books that I've been reading are kind of like the precursors to that. They happened before the Land of Stories, so I was wanting to read them, obviously, and I am sadly disappointed by this one. I rated it a 2-star. If you want more of my thoughts on that, please watch my last video. I give kind of a whole thought process on my experience reading this newer precursor series compared to the older one I grew up with as a child. So this was definitely disappointing. I just didn't like how political it became, in a sense of very like worldly viewed opinions, and I don't know, it was just interesting. I felt very pushed and pressured on different worldviews, which in a children's book, to be honest, is not something like I think anyone would be looking for. So I'm not really sure that I just didn't agree with the concepts that were being talked about, as well as it just wasn't written to the fullest potential. I feel like if you read the Land of Stories and take out your like opinions in general about the topics that are controversial in here, so if you don't agree on the opinions that I dislike, that's fine, you know, we're different people. But just from a reader standpoint, if you look at the comparison of that series to this book, and honestly the precursor series, there is a distinct disconnection between the two, and that was really weird for me to experience, because I have loved Chris Colfer's writing since I was a child, and I loved it rereading the Land of Stories books. So if you don't like this series, please definitely read the Land of Stories series. I will recommend that to everyone. It's such a childhood favorite of mine, and I just love it so much. So yeah, this was a 2-star for me. Last book that I read in August, I picked up Powerful by Lauren Roberts. I have been putting this book off for quite a bit, not terribly long, because it did just come out, I think in the summer. I've been waiting since Powerless for this book to come out and Reckless to come out, and now I'm waiting for the next book to come out. I've been putting this off because I literally was ripped apart by Powerless. Read that book, seriously, everyone needs to read it. Dina, who is Peyton's best friend in the last book. Again, I talked about this in my last video, so if you want more in-depth details on that, go check that video out. This one was hard. So you're kind of in a reverse timeline where like this takes place the exact same time as Powerless. So I'd be kind of like curious to see like if the reading experience were kind of split up, how you read dual POV for whatchamacallit, Throne of Glass. I haven't read that series yet, but there is one that's like a tandem read. I'd be curious what this would be like as a tandem read, if that adds to the kind of experience of reading it. I read it after Genius, literally loved it. I definitely wouldn't read this first. Read Powerless first. You find out what happens, something tragic happens in the end of Powerless, and then you go into this and you know what happens. So like the whole time in the book, you know like what the ending's gonna be. I didn't expect it to hit as hard as it did. I was crying. Not as much as I was in Powerless, I don't think, but this had me sobbing. I was definitely sobbing a lot. So a really good book. I rated this a 5-star, which was honestly hard for me to rate genuinely, because I usually rate 5-star books based on, you know, the feelings of happiness they bring me. I don't think I've ever really rated a sad book a 5-star, and this was just heart-wrenching. So it was definitely like a love-hate thing, because you hate how it ends, but you love the characters and love how it was written at the same time. So this was my 5-star read of the month, and yeah, that's where I got with that. Pick 6 books for this month. I know for sure the first 2 I'm gonna pick. I'm saving these 2 new ones. I'm going to put these 2 on my TBR. I'm putting Tangled Up in You and A Novel Love Story on September's TBR, because I need them immediately. What else am I feeling like reading? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Put this book on my TBR because I do need to finish the series. It's the last one I have to read. I need to get that done. I'm going to put probably the biggest fantasy book I have on this right now on my TBR. I'm gonna put Iron Flame. I'm not in a fantasy mood though, but maybe I will be after reading these romance books. So Iron Flame is literally $623 pages. Yay. Next, I 100% want to read The Naturals. Let's just put another one in there. I am going to succumb to my mystery craving. High school, that were part of my high school curriculum. So this book we're gonna put on my thing. My stack for the month of September. To be honest, this looks pretty solid. Like, I'm really excited about these. Everything on here looks great. So let's do a little routine recap. I picked A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. This is about a girl who kind of goes away with a bunch of her friends for little like reading book trips, and then one year none of them can go, so she goes off on her own, and then she's driving and ends up in the town of her like favorite romance novel. I've got Tangled Up in You by Christina Lauren. This is a Tangled retelling. Our girl, Ren, she is on a homestead. She's lived off the grid for probably 19 years of her life. She's 22 years old and wants to go to college. So her parents kind of let her do that. She's kind of, I don't know, education has always been looked down upon by her parents. So then she meets our male main character. What is his name? Fitz, and they meet in college, and he's kind of a criminal, has a criminal past, and he's trying to make his life better by going to college and getting rich and, like, you know, being this whole playboy energy guy that everyone likes. And I don't know, we'll see how that unravels in here. One I keep putting on my TBR, I Thought My Soul Would Rise and Fly by, still don't remember, Joyce Hanson. This is part of the Dear Americas series. And I think it's the diary of Patsy, a freed girl. So it's kind of her story on her journey. I do like these books a lot. Next, I've got Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is part of the Fourth Wing series. I don't know how many books she's gonna have out on this, but this one's a big one. This one's a chunker. And I'm not really sure the direction this is going in, to be honest. I read Fourth Wing in a singular day. A singular day. I was sat reading Fourth Wing. It is annotated. I don't remember a lot about this book. I remember some parts. Was it phenomenal? Yes. Did I rate it 5 stars? Absolutely. Do I want to read this? 100%. It's on the TBR. Then we have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm excited to dive into this series. It's a mystery about, I believe, like 6 or 7 high schoolers or like children or kids or whatever who all have these unnatural abilities of like being really good at certain things. So one's really good at like reading people, but like super extremely so. And so they've been hired by the FBI, I think, to deal with cold cases and kind of keep their abilities up so that when they grow up they won't just like go away. So excited for this. And then we have my little book that could probably be read in middle school, but we're reading it, and we're reading it strongly. This is You Want Women to Vote, Liza Stanton by Jean Fritz. That is my complete TBR. So I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I know it was a bit chaotic. We had a lot going on, but we did it, and hopefully I'll get the ball rolling on some other videos coming out. So I have a lot of big plans, and hopefully I get quite a bit of reading done and out of this reading slump. But I really, really appreciate you coming and chilling with me. It's so nice of you. Bye.